All right, how are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Good,
How about
good, good.
yourself?
Doing well, doing well. Good show so far.
Keeping you busy, huh?
Definitely busy. Yes, absolutely. So why don't you tell us a little bit, if people are not familiar, about Vanderlande?
Okay, so Vanderlande is somewhere between the second and fourth largest material handling company globally.
Right.
Um, we do warehouse solutions, manufacture our own equipment, and obviously supplement it with others to provide the right solutions for customers and to make sure they have their growth in there. We also do parcel and airports as well. So we're one of the largest airport providers as well. So we have a multi-tier business as such.
Yeah, doing a lot of things there, and obviously in the material handling industry. And I'm curious here, as you guys are at this show, what are you guys showing off this year at Modex?
Well, actually, we're on the Bastion booth. It's the Toyota family as such. So,
Yes, yeah.
Toyota's obviously got a big family of companies now, so we've been on there, but we have our shuttle on there, so our Adapto shuttle, which is actually a level roaming shuttle, so it has a lot of features in there that are pretty unique in terms of sequencing and the ability to get any location to any lift. And so the beauty of that is it actually removes all of that conveyor that you see out in front of some shuttle systems. So compact in space terms and very efficient. So.
Interesting. And so for that regard, I mean, traditionally we would have some conveyor there, so this is taking the conveyor away essentially and allowing it to be more versatile.
Exactly. So typically you have you have aisle-based shuttles, so they have to have a lift on every aisle. They have to have a conveyor so that you can get any tote from any lift to any workstation, palletize or whatever you're doing. But because we've actually got that sequencing going on inside the shuttle, and the shuttle's going horizontal, if you like, across the aisles. Yeah. That way we can use the lift as a sequencing engine, and then we can feed straight out to a palletizer or straight out to a workstation. That workstation is a one-to-one workstation, very simple for the operator. I pick up one thing and I put it into one thing. There's no decision making, just a bit of counting to do maybe. Yeah. And then obviously the beauty of a one-to-one is very easy to put a robot to do robot picking as well. So, and then on the other side, if it's palletizing, again, you have one lift is feeding one pallet station. So very efficient, reduces the footprint.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And being able to do that and obviously reduce the footprint, I think is a big thing. And I'm curious in that regard, are you seeing a lot of customers or potential customers, I guess, keeping that top of mind is how do I maybe avoid going into a new building and maybe maximizing the space that I already have?
I think, obviously people are looking at their sort of labor requirements, their throughput requirements, their customer promise as their companies offer better and better turnaround for when you place your order. Obviously Amazon drove that behavior in the first place, but so again, those are things that are driving it, and then it comes down to, can I sweat my asset? Can I use the building I have? Building a new building is an expensive endeavor. Yeah. And you have to have network studies to work out where you should put the building. There's a lot more behind building. If I've got the ability to use the space I have in some way, then obviously that's better. So if I can take less floor print, it makes it easier to do in the building. Obviously, typically to get the best out of shuttles, you want a bit of height, so you don't want to be a 20-foot building.
Right.
That said, typical US warehouse is 35 feet. Yes. So that always comes into mind. It's always interesting. The dynamics within a lot of customers' DCs and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think being able to maximize that space to the fullest is such a smart thing to do, especially like as you said, building out a new building, or even going and leasing a new building too, is the prices are not going down. Right?
No,
we can say that.
It's certainly not. And you've seen the number of warehouse starts has reduced. So again, warehouse stock is not necessarily there. Custom buildings cost a lot more than off the shelf. You can have a building off the shelf, but
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's so interesting to see that. I'm curious what, as you're here at the show and you're engaging with attendees and then potential customers or existing customers, what are some of the challenges that they're facing right now, and what are some of the things that are kind of top of mind this year?
Well, I think some of them are the same challenges we've seen, but I think as the sort of market is slowly coming back. The drive for getting deliveries done, getting stuff out of the building quicker. There's still the e-com versus store challenge, and I think if you go back and look at the pandemic, that grew e-com tremendously.
Yeah.
And then people started going back to the store, and that dropped everything off. So now you've got that more mix of e-com starting to grow back at its sort of rate it was pre-pandemic. So again, for a lot of retailers, it's what's my challenge? How do I balance?
Yeah.
I've still got this e-com thing still rising, still gives me tougher delivery times, and I still got to do store fulfillment. And when you start SKU churn and all those sorts of things, those are all the sort of similar challenges that we've seen before. But now in a more constrained economy and higher cost of capital, it's how do I get the best bang for my buck as well? So.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's very interesting to see, because I think you've probably seen over time too, is in the last few years, it's almost as the attendee is coming. They're a little more educated now, I think, on the technology and the solutions that are out there, and it's interesting to see how they're navigating that a little bit. So I'm curious, from your perspective, and I'm sure whatever Vanderlande is doing is the most exciting for you. But as we look at kind of the market and things that are happening, I mean, what technologies are really kind of exciting for you?
Well, I would start with, if you look at the show, there's a lot more AMR, AGV, and robotics companies. Obviously, the AI stuff is out there.
Yeah.
If you don't have AI or somewhere on your booth, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But so
it's an epidemic.
There's a lot more of those companies in the show. They've got bigger booths, so obviously that's top of mind. But I also did a seminar with the MHA ASRS group with a couple other vendors, and we asked the audience. There's about 100 people in the audience. We asked them, who's got automation, who's got AMRs, who's got ASRSs. So automation, maybe 20% of the people in that room had automation, and probably 10% had ASRSs, and something a bit less than that had AMR. So the adoption is not really there yet, because obviously you have a big audience here, people from no automation to large automation type people walking around. So you see this big mix. But I think what we see is that the AGV and AMR is getting a bigger thing. How can you better use those, especially when you look at a maturation of those type of products and what they can offer somebody in terms of flexibility. There's a part of that life cycle that lends itself to AMRs and AGVs. AGVs are more coming into their own. Again, this is all the automation where you can don't necessarily need people running around moving things around. We all know what happens with fork trucks hitting things in warehouses.
Yeah, it's not good. Definitely not good.
So that automation is definitely getting more interest. And then, of course, robotic palletizing, robotic picking. We've seen, we have a relationship with Right Hand Robotics. Actually, I gave a talk there yesterday, and Right Hand are now seeing picking rates beyond 600 units an hour.
Wow.
Which is typically an operator, you think of 600 an hour. So if you take that and say, well, the robot's going to work the full shift, it doesn't have a cigarette break, it doesn't go to the restroom.
Yeah, doesn't get tired.
No, it doesn't get tired. So you suddenly get, you're starting to see with robotic picking now, better productivity than with the operator. So again, that's something that's interesting to people. I think they're putting their feet in the water a little bit. So maybe I have 1 or 2 stations with a robot on, and the rest are still operators, and see how that grows over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's a great way to put it. And I think it's even telling, as you said, that in your audience there for the panel discussion. I mean, it's only 20%, right? Have some type of automation. So I think there's still a long way to go to get to that point, and I think it is very interesting to see how that will continue to develop and evolve. And I really appreciate you coming by and sharing your insights here. If people are interested in learning more about Vanderlande and getting in touch, what's the best way to do that?
Well, you can, we'll be still on the Bastion booth, but you can get hold of me on, if I give you my email, perhaps that's the...
Sure, you can share your email, yeah.
It's Andy.Lockhart, that's Lockhart, at vanderlande.com, VANDERLANE.
called, right? Great. All right. So if people are interested to learn more from Andy, they can reach out to him. So Andy, thank you so much for stopping by the booth today.
Great, thank you.
All right. Good to see you. Thank you. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, the New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.